Ever since muscle cars hit the scene in the 1960s, brands like Dodge have battled to create the coolest and most powerful cars. Some of these cars have become legends, still loved by fans today. But others? They're so ugly you might cringe just looking at them. Here are the 10 ugliest Dodge muscle cars in history. Number 10, 1962. Dodge Dart. The 1962 Dodge Dart is one muscle car that seems like it made it to the production line by mistake. Just looking at it from the front, you'd see it's pretty ugly. Dodge tried to get creative with this design, but it didn't work out at all. Even with its powerful 415 horsepower V8 engine and 100 miles per hour top speed, car lovers just couldn't get behind this car. They only sold 153,000 units, which was a decent number for a muscle car back then. Dodge had high hopes for the Dart, offering it in 3 trim levels and 6 body styles. But the design was so ugly that none of these options helped. In 1963, Dodge saved the Dart by redesigning it with a more traditional look, and it finally became a strong player in the muscle car market. Next up was a car that was not only ugly on the outside but even worse on the inside. Number 9. 1978 Dodge Challenger. The 1978 Dodge Challenger was a big disappointment compared to the cool Dodge Challenger that came before it. This smaller, lighter coupe just didn't measure up. The car was less powerful and, worst of all, really ugly. It had old-school rectangular headlights on outdated bumpers, a strange notchback roofline, and boring colors. You'd think Dodge would at least make it look good, but they missed the mark. The interior was no better. It had a basic dashboard, plain upholstery, a simple steering wheel, and nothing exciting to look at inside. But the biggest shock for Dodge fans was the weak performance. Even with different engine options, this car could only produce between 77 and 105 horsepower. Fans were let down because the 1978 Challenger was ugly, both inside and out. Well, if you feel like the 1978 Dodge Challenger was ugly, then you are not ready for the horror Dodge did in 1982. Number 8. 1982 Dodge Charger. In 1982, Dodge released a compact Charger that was a major change from the classic muscle car everyone loved. Built on the Dodge Omni platform, this new Charger was a small hatchback, quite different from the powerful Chargers of the past. With only 82 horsepower, it didn't have the muscle of its predecessors. This 1982 Charger was all about fuel efficiency and quick acceleration, moving away from the muscle car tradition. Although it was practical and surprisingly quick off the line, often beating rivals like the Camaro and Mustang in initial acceleration, it didn't sit well with old-school Dodge fans. The transformation from a powerful muscle car to a small economy car felt like a betrayal to many. Even with its practical design and good performance, the 1982 Charger was seen as a major shift from its muscle car roots. Still, it represents an important moment in automotive history, showing how the industry adapted to new demands and economic changes. Coming up next on the list is a car, which made many ask, was the car designer asleep while designing this? Number 7. Dodge Shelby CSX. The Dodge Shelby CSX was an intriguing chapter in automotive history, blending the pedigree of Shelby's performance with the practicality of the Dodge Shadow. Introduced in the late 1980s, the CSX was a product of Chrysler's decision to transform the standard Shadow compact into a sporty limited edition model under the Shelby nameplate. The Dodge Shelby CSX, a product of transforming the Dodge Shadow into a sporty Shelby model, has become a sought-after collector's car. Though its performance was modest, the unique styling and Shelby nameplate make it a notable collectible. Its origins as a Dodge Shadow may be puzzling, but its rarity and distinctive look have cemented its place in automotive history. However, many enthusiasts disagree with this appraisal, and the argument is still ongoing on whether this hybrid design deserves a place among the great muscle car marquees. At best, its rarity and association with Carroll Shelby lend it a unique allure, but when it comes to performance, the CSX did not deliver jaw-dropping numbers on the track. The performance was merely modest, reflecting the limitations of its shadow underpinnings. Yet the styling of the Shelby CSX set it apart from the standard shadow. It featured distinctive controls and a sporty aesthetic that hinted at a better driving experience. Underneath the hood, the car still borrowed from the Shadow model. To be fair, the original Dodge Shadow itself was not particularly remarkable, which makes Chrysler's choice of it as a foundation for the Shelby makeover somewhat confusing. Ultimately, the Dodge Shelby CSX's blend of Shelby styling and Dodge practicality makes it an interesting, albeit modest, chapter in the Shelby legacy. Number 6. Dodge Daytona. The Dodge Daytona was launched as a cheaper alternative to the fancier Stealth. It came in different versions, like the Shelby and IROC, which were especially attractive. But despite these options, the Daytona often felt underpowered and had a plain design. Its low price made it an easy choice for those wanting a sporty look without spending too much. Even though Dodge had the higher-end Stealth, they needed something more budget-friendly, which led to the Daytona. However, the Daytona struggled to stand out with unique features. It was meant to be an economical sports car, but this often meant it didn't perform well compared to its rivals. The design was pretty ordinary, lacking the standout features of other cars. The Shelby and IROC versions were the only highlights. Some people thought the Daytona's design looked like a spaceship or a flying saucer on wheels. It seems the designers tried too hard to capture a sporty look, but ended up with something that missed the mark. In the end, the Dodge Daytona was a more affordable sports car option, and its legacy is a mix of being budget-friendly and having some collectible appeal. Dodge's pursuit of a distinctive appearance continued into the 1990s with another notable entry. Number 5. Dodge Avenger. The 1990s Dodge Avenger, not to be confused with the superhero movies, was based on the Chrysler Sebring. While it had some unique styling, it was essentially just a Sebring coupe with a Dodge grille. This led to a lot of disappointment, as buyers paid extra for a sporty look, but got the same lackluster performance as the Sebring. During the 1990s, Dodge offered several two-door cars, and the Avenger was one of the more memorable ones. Its design was either basic or misleading, and it seemed like a poor imitation of a luxury car. To make matters worse, it was expensive but didn't deliver on performance. It offered the same driving experience as its Chrysler counterpart, but without the performance upgrades to justify its higher price. Despite these issues, the Avenger name was revived later with a new sedan model that aimed to fix the problems of the original. This new version sought to improve performance and add modern features. In short, the 1990s Dodge Avenger was a coupe with a distinctive look but unimpressive performance. Following up was a car just like the Avenger failed to capture the essence of a classic muscle car. Number 4. 1983 Dodge Shelby Charger. The Dodge Shelby Charger was an upgraded version of the standard Charger, aimed at improving handling and styling rather than boosting speed. This model followed the 1982 Charger on our list and was part of a collaboration with the renowned car designer Carroll Shelby. Key enhancements included improved brakes and a faster power steering rack, which collectively refined its driving dynamics. By 1984, the engine output had increased to 110 horsepower, providing a modest power upgrade over the original. Despite these performance improvements, the Shelby Charger's angular, toy-like appearance and lackluster appeal made it an unattractive choice for many, turning it into a polarizing model from the 80s. The design featured wedgie elements and basic visuals that left enthusiasts and casual observers unimpressed, straying from the bold, aggressive look typically associated with muscle cars. The Shelby Charger's bright graphics and two-tone paint scheme often came off as gimmicky rather than genuinely sporty. Although it was associated with Carroll Shelby, the 1983 Dodge Shelby Charger failed to live up to the legacy of its namesake, ending up as a footnote in muscle car history, due to its awkward styling and limited appeal. Next up is a car with a lot of questionable design choices. Number 3. Dodge Magnum. The Dodge Magnum, particularly the station wagon model from 2005, is another example of a car that struggled with its design. Although it aimed to innovate the muscle car market with its wagon body, it ended up looking more like a hearse than a sleek, high-performance vehicle. The Magnum's long, bulky shape and high stance gave it an awkward look that many found unappealing. Even though it came with some powerful engine options, like the Hemi V8, its unusual appearance overshadowed its performance. The concept of a muscle car station wagon was interesting, but the final result didn't quite hit the mark, making the Magnum a divisive addition to the Dodge lineup. Coming up next is a car that turned heads for all the wrong reasons. Number 2. Dodge Mirada. The Dodge Mirada, rolling out in the early 1980s, marked another bold yet misguided attempt by Dodge. With its long hood and short deck common design features of the era, it quickly fell into the realm of the outdated. The car's boxy and bland design failed to capture the aggressive spirit typical of muscle cars. Performance-wise, the Mirada didn't impress, featuring a 5.2-liter V8 engine that delivered a modest 155 horsepower. Intended to rival the Ford Thunderbird and Chevrolet Monte Carlo, the Mirada's dull appearance and underwhelming performance made it a weak competitor. And finally, at the top of our list is a car that embodies the disconnect between ambition and execution. Number 1. Dodge Aspen RT. At the top of our list is the Dodge Aspen RT, a car that made its mark between 1976 and 1980, for all the wrong reasons. This model was intended to be the high-performance version of the standard Aspen, but it fell short in almost every way. Sporting a bulky, boxy design that clashed with the sleek, aerodynamic trends of its time, the Aspen RT couldn't hide its unattractiveness, even with its blacked-out grille and racing stripes. Under the hood, the RT offered a 360 cubic inch V8 engine that delivered just 170 horsepower, failing to impress with its lackluster performance. In the end, the Aspen RT's disappointing design and underwhelming power made it a car many would prefer to forget. While Dodge has certainly had its share of hits over the years, these models show that even the best manufacturers can have their off days. Whether it was due to poor design choices, lackluster performance, or just plain bad luck, these cars will go down in history for all the wrong reasons. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed our video, you could check out this next video that will blow your mind. Or better yet, hit that like and subscribe buttons. Till next time, cheers.